I'm recording this class to make up for last night. So I taught yoga in the park, brought my neighbor's dog, who is a rescue. She just got a couple weeks ago. And sweetest little dog, tied him up to the park bench, and midway through yoga class, he chewed through his leash and ran away. So class got thrown upside down. And he came back 2 hours later, after a lot of searching and a lot of calling and a lot of walking through the parks and the woods trying to find him. And it was a great example of yoga, of life, of lessons. So we were chasing Scout. And Scout came back when Scout was ready to come back. And Scout didn't come back because we were calling him or we were chasing him. Scout came back when Scout was ready. So we learn in yoga, life unfolds as it needs to. It unfolds in its rhythm and its time. And when we chase things, oftentimes they're always out of grasp. They're always out of reach. We can see them, but we can't quite get them. But when we sit and we settle and we allow things to come to us by setting a pure intention, then life really gets interesting. So that was my yoga lesson with Scout yesterday. And today I have sore feet. So we're going to start on our backs today. So this will be the sequence that we were supposed to do yesterday, hopefully uninterrupted. So we'll lay down wherever you are. Just allow the eyes to stay open for a moment. And just take in your surroundings. Allow the mind to move in whatever direction it desires right now. Beginning to just allow the senses to have their experiences. What you see, what you hear, and what you feel. And beginning this practice of mindful observation. Just noticing the thoughts, noticing what you see and what you hear, and what you're feeling. Allowing all of it in. Scout the dog, oftentimes our mind is similar. It needs to run a little bit. When we try to control it, we try to call it back, we try to grab the leash on our mind, it keeps running. So just allow it to just go where it wants right now. Comfortable closing your eyes, you can close your eyes. Begin to draw your attention to your breath, just noticing the quality, the shape, the length of your breath. As you take your next exhale, open up a little space to have this experience fully. Letting go of some of the expectations and just being here for this experience. Noticing how you feel today. Are you energetic? Are you tired? Are you agitated? Are you calm? And without trying to shift or change that, just observing it and knowing that that will impact your practice. That your practice may look different today, just based on how we're showing up and how we feel. So practicing with the awareness of how you feel today. Let's take our arms overhead. Take a big collective inhale. Reach through the fingers and the toes, and then open your mouth. Sigh that breath out. Soften all the muscles. And then inhale again. Point through the toes, point through the fingers. Deep, full breath in. Open the mouth, let it out, and just let everything be soft and easy on the ground. Third time. And then bend the knees, draw those feet in, let the feet float off the ground, and just wrap your knees in towards your chest. The arms wrapping around to hold the knees. And rocking left and right. Noticing how the back body and the spine feel on the ground. Just noticing if you have the urge to stay in this pose a little longer, or you may have an urge to get out of this pose and get moving. So just bringing your awareness to what the mind is saying. Now let's begin to rock up and down the spine. So holding from under the legs, behind the legs, just begin to rock and roll up and down. Eventually gaining momentum so we can land in a forward fold. Taking your time. Honoring your body's request. If you're in your forward fold, you can bend your knees nice and deep. Let your body hang, interlace your forearms, and begin to sway left and right, just gently, like a tree in a gentle breeze. And this slight movement allows us to feel. So our practice is here to just help us see ourselves a little more clearly. And in that seeing, also accepting ourselves. Let's find stillness. Take a nice long, slow inhale through the nose, and then open the mouth and just sigh it out. Let the hands come down, shoulder distance apart. Just walk your feet back to a down dog. Alternate bending one knee and then the other. Pedaling through your feet. As the hips lift to the sky in your down dog, the heels are drawing towards the earth. Palms press you away and the spine grows longer. The breath goes deeper, creating more space to fill up. And then begin to walk the hands back towards the feet. Taking little steps with the hands. And then bend the right knee, plant the right hand in front of the right foot, twist. Maybe you draw your gaze up to the left fingertips as you pull the tailbone back and reach through the top of the head. Float that left hand down and plant it in front of the left foot. Bend the left knee and find some space, reaching out through the right fingertips. Drawing back through the right shoulder. Maybe you spread your fingers coming to a plank pose. Drawing up through the belly, pressing down through the hands, and a little bit of roundness through the shoulders. Belly button draws up and in. And just breathe. Pressing out through the heels and reaching through the top of your head. Noticing the thoughts that come up as you're in this pose. As we're dynamically here in this static position. And then lower the knees to the floor. And slowly lower yourself all the way down. So we're going to reach the feet back. Maybe you wiggle the hips back a little bit and try to get long in your spine. Pull the tailbone out away from the top of the head. Hands come in by the sides of the body, tops of the feet on the floor. Inhale and gently lift the chest. Peel the ribs up. Peel those elbows down towards the hips. Use the strength of your back to lift you. Lower down. Let's move with our breath. Inhale and come up. Exhale as you lower. Inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Take your hands off the mat, tense the fingers. Just pressing the tips of the fingers into the ground. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, dip the right shoulder towards the ground, look over the left shoulder. Inhale, come up. Exhale, look to the right, dip that left shoulder down. Inhale, come up and move with your breath 2 more times on each side. Stretching the neck and the shoulder. Building strength in your back. Building your connection between breath and movement. When you're finished, let's push back to a child's pose. You can open up the knees, sit the hips back in the direction of the heels, and allow your forehead to come to the ground. If it's hard to get the forehead to the ground, maybe layer your forearms to make a little higher place for the forehead to sit. And then notice your breath again. Notice the thoughts in the mind. And then bring that attention back to the breath. Take your arms out in front of you again. Spread those fingers wide. Lift your hips, curl the toes under, and take it down. Take a look to the right. Come back to neutral, take a look to the left. And come back to neutral. Settle into your breath. Begin to feel your own rhythm. You have permission in this practice and in all yoga practices to move in ways that make sense to you. So if any poses don't feel good, or feel not right in your body, just skip them or do something else, or take a child's pose. So we'll begin by pressing into the left foot and floating the right foot to the sky, taking a 3-legged dog. Noticing the uplift in the belly to support us here. And then come onto the ball of the left foot, draw the right knee in, and take a yoga push-up, tapping the right knee to the ground. And then press back up, 3-legged dog. And moving slow, coming to a high lunge, tucking that knee in towards the chest, and then placing that right foot on the ground. Get a good foundation and inhale, rise up. Reach through the fingertips as you draw down through the hips. Pull those ribs back a little bit so the shoulders, the ribs, and the hips are all in line with each other. Let's clasp the left hand and pull it up and over to the right. Side bend in the left side body. Lifting through the rib cage. Finding breath. Inhale, come back to center. exhale, hands to the floor, step the back foot in for pyramid pose. Back foot's at 45 degrees. Inhale, draw that right hip back. Maybe you keep the right knee bent if your hamstrings are feeling like they're really noticing this pose. If not, you can straighten that leg and we'll fold out over the right leg. Try to find some extension and space in the spine by lengthening and extending that head down towards the ground with the hips lifting. Feeling how this pose is showing up in your body today. Use your next inhale to explore a little more deeply the sensations of the body. And then walk those hands a little further forward, coming to a standing split. So hands are on the ground, right leg roots, left leg lifts. And then decide if you want to have kind of an open hip standing split, or if you want to rotate the pinky toe down a little more, closing that hip off so it's more parallel to the other. Feeling what feels right and good in your body, what gives you some freedom. Press down more into that foot, lift up more into the toes. And then bend your right knee, tuck the left knee behind it, and sit yourself all the way down into a spinal twisting position. So that left knee is tucked by the right ankle. Now we're going to take the left arm out and wrap it around the right knee. Right hand comes behind you, root through both hips, and then begin to rotate the spine around. Using your inhale to lift and extend, and using your exhale to find a little more rotation in the spine. And your next inhale, come back to center. We'll take the hands over to the left side and just bow down towards the ground, forehead coming down. Inhale, come back up, returning to your standing split. And then slowly lower that left foot down to the ground. Left hand is in line with the right foot. Spin that right arm up to the sky, twisting. Lower the right hand down to the ground. Take both arms forward as you hover your ribs out over the right thigh. Pull back through your hips and reach through those fingertips. Belly lifts up and in. So you're supported with the strength of the legs and the strength of the torso, the front and the back body. And then inhale, lift all the way up. We're going to spin the toes to the long side of our mat, taking a straddle position with the feet. Reach the hands up, 5-pointed star. And then notice if the ribs have bounced out. Can you draw the low ribs so the back in line with the tops of the hips? So it allows our spine to get really long without putting any pressure in any parts. Right hand comes down, left arm reaches. Shoulders stay in line with the hips. Reach a little more. Have your experience. Inhale, come up. Left hand floats down, right arm reaches over the right ear towards the left side. Filling up with breath through that right rib cage. One more breath. Inhale, come on up. Bend the knees and sit in an equestrian stance. So bring the hands to prayer to start. So we try to get those knees pointing out. If you're super mobile, the knees may be more in line with the hips. It just depends on how you're put together. No good, no bad. Just have that experience of building strength in the legs. We'll let the hands float to the knees. And then press that left hand into the left knee and reach the left shoulder towards the right knee. And then come on up. And take it to the other side. Drawing up and in the core as you twist. And take a few more of these. Feeling that rhythm of your breath. Inhaling as you lift up. Exhaling as you rotate. Come back to center, bring those hands into prayer, sit a little bit deeper. deeper. Just one cycle, slow, long breath here. Inhaling and exhaling. And then straighten those legs, spin the toes to the front of your mat, and come through a vinyasa, stepping back to plank. And then you can take knees, chest, chin, or you can take your yoga push-up, taking a cobra or an up dog, and then landing in a down dog. Always an option to take a child's pose instead of the vinyasa. Breathing your breath in your down dog. Press through the right foot, left foot floats up, three-legged dog. Deciding again if you want to have an open hip or a closed hip. Three-legged dog. And then let's hug the knee into the chest. Come to your plank. Take your yoga push-up, tapping the knee to the ground by bending the elbows. Pull it back up, three-legged dog. Come forward, hug the knee into the chest, landing in a high lunge. Reaching those arms up and overhead. Pulling the ribs back a little bit. Feeling a nice big stretch in the front of that right thigh and hip. Settling in. Take the left wrist and stretch it over to the right, pulling through the whole right side body. Moving slowly so that you can stay balanced. Breath full and deep. Inhale, come back up. Hands to the floor. Step the right foot in for pyramid, so the toes point to that front right corner. We don't have a whole lot of space between the feet. It's a very small stance. You can bend that front knee. Take an inhale and lengthen. Exhale, begin drawing the ribs towards the left thigh. Pulling that left hip back and drawing the right hip forward. Just experiencing the messages from the hamstring. Honoring those. Respecting them. As we begin to hear those subtle messages from the body, we begin to hear the subtle messages outside the body from other people, from the universe. Right leg floats up, standing split. Deciding if you want the open hip or closed hip here. Folding in, reaching up through the toes. Use your core to help lift you a little bit here. Right, get that belly involved in the pose. Good, one more breath. And then let's bend the left knee, tuck that right knee behind it, come all the way down to sitting with that left foot crossed over the right knee. Left hand behind you for support, right arm can reach out, wrap around that knee and pull the body up. And then begin to twist around. Tall spine in our twist. Making space in the spine. Creating length and movement. One more breath here. Twisting a little more on the exhale. Good. And then inhaling, coming back out of the pose. Hands to the right side, dropping the forehead towards the ground, taking a counter twist. Inhaling, come up. Standing split. Walk those hands forward, root through the left foot, reach that right leg up and back. And then slowly bend the left knee and land that right foot towards the back of the mat for your lunge. Plant through the right hand, lift up through the left. And then try to draw your left shoulder back away from your ear. Feel that subtle sensation in the core. Drawing it up and in to help you twist. Let that left hand float down to the ground. Press out through the back heel, reach both arms forward, hover. out over that left thigh. Pull the belly up and in. Reach forward through the hands as you pull back through your right heel. As you find power in these legs, power in these arms. Finding a little bit of balance here. Inhale, come all the way up. Spin the toes to the long side of the mat. Bring your hands behind you, interlacing the fingers, press the palms together, lift your heart back, bend. And then exhale, bend your knees, fold forward. Press the top of the head towards the floor, lift up through the hands, draw the belly in. So I'll switch around to the side here. You're dropping those arms overhead. And try to draw the ribs as close to the thighs as you can. Breathing your breath. Pulling those shoulders up away from the floor, squeezing them together and dropping them down a little more. Let the hands come to the hips, and then release the bind. Bring the hands to the floor. Inhale and lift the chest parallel to the floor. Bend the knees a little bit. Maybe you take the arms straight out. So this is very subtle and very powerful, right? You feel heat building. You're making an effort even though you're still. One more breath here, reaching those fingers forward, pulling back through the tailbone, finding some lightness in the belly, feeling that strength building in the legs. And then lower the hands to the floor, folding slowly. Walk the hands over to the right ankle or the direction of the right ankle, and fold. Drawing your body towards that right thigh. We're going to walk those hands back through center. Take them over to the left, reaching the torso towards the left thigh, getting a little tiny twist, a little stretch through the right side body and that left hamstring again. Walk those hands back through center. Rotate the toes around to the front of the mat. Step back. Find a plank pose. And then find your vinyasa. Finding your down dog, deepening the breath. Noticing the quality of the thoughts. And then returning your attention to the breath. Look at the thumbs. Walk, step, or hop the feet forward. We're going to come to a goddess squat. So we're going to open the feet up towards the outer edges of the mat with the toes pointing outward, heels pointing in, and then we're going to bring the hands to the chest and prayer. Tailbone presses down and the top of the head presses up. Find a soft gaze. Just be here. If you like to take crow pose, you can begin lifting up through the hips, squeezing the knees, the outer edges of the upper arms. And then just take one foot off the ground. Maybe you play with lifting up through the other foot, rounding through the spine, finding balance. And maybe you just stay in your yogi squat, in your goddess, and breathe. If you're in crow, we'll begin to let one foot come down and then the other. Returning to our goddess squat. Now let's all lift the hips to a forward fold, beginning to straighten the legs. Legs can keep a bend in them, but let's take our gorilla pose, lifting the toes and placing the left hand fully under the foot so the toes touch the wrist. And then do the same with the right. Inhale and halfway lift. Exhale, bend the elbows out, fold the body in. Finding a little length by
slowing the breath down and being more aware, discovering those spaces in the body that we can open. Drawing those ribs in a little closer to the thighs, head draping down towards the floor. Take an inhale, lengthen. And then lift the toes up, release those hands. You can leave the feet parallel or walk them together for a chair pose. We're going to let the hips come down. Take the fingertips to the floor, and then just simply reach the arms forward. If you like the arms higher, you can. If that congests the shoulders, leave the arms parallel. Nice. Hips are sitting down, building strength in the legs. Pressing down through the feet. Maybe you can lift your toes up off the ground as the weight sinks back into the heels. One more cycle of breath. Inhale, come all the way up. Feet can be apart or together. And let's take a side bend over to the right. Lift back up. Take a side bend to the left, keeping some space and lift through both sides of the ribs. Inhale, come back up, take a back bend. Heart goes up, hips go forward. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Root through the feet, reach out and up through the hands. Exhale, pull the hands through heart center and pause. Notice how you feel. Let's root through the left foot. Let that right knee lift. So we're going to have majorette pose, reaching the knee straight out from the hip. Pressing down through that left leg, belly draws in to support us. And we're going to slowly just extend out through the right heel. Just, she says. This is hard as hell. So try not to lean back. Try to stay with the shoulders over the hips. Press out through that heel. And then we'll sweep the leg back, taking an airplane pose. The arms come out like wings. That right heel presses back. If you want to take the arms forward, you can. Reaching out to Vera 3. Belly button pulls up and in. Good. Finding your balance and managing it, recreating it in each moment. And then inhale, come back to majorette pose. Take that right foot, bring it against the left thigh for tree. So we'll point that right knee out the way from the hips. Hands into the chest. Or you can take the arms out like a tree, reaching for the sky. If you want to add a challenge to your tree pose, let your right wrist float down to the knee, and then reach over, taking a side bend. Reaching to the right. Finding new balance in a new and different way. Inhale, come on up. And then we'll return to majorette pose or fall. And then feet on the ground, mountain pose. Root down, close your eyes. Feel the right side of the body. Feel the left. Inhale, take the arms up and overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, flow through vinyasa. Going back to your plank, you can lower the knees to the ground if that feels appropriate in your practice. Just building strength. Finding ways to build strength in the upper body here. Look between the thumbs, walk those feet to the outer edges of the mat. For a goddess squat again, the toes are going to point out, the heels point in. We're going to sit the tailbone down. This time we're going to allow the right hand to reach in front of the toes and take that left arm and sweep it up. Finding a new way to balance, right? New sensations. Come back through center. Take one breath here. that left hand float down to the ground, out in front of your foot, and reach up through the right. See what you can discover, what you can sense. Let that right hand float down. Lift the hips, fold forward. Feet separated hip distance or together, making sure the feet are parallel. Bend those knees, fingertips to the floor. Take your chair pose. This time in chair, if you want to play, you can lift the heels up and try to get the heels to stack over the balls of the feet. Find one point of focus. Draw those shoulder blades back so they're over the hips. And sit down a little deeper. Take one more cycle of breath. And then let your heels slowly float down as you fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Root through the feet. Reach out and up. Big and bright. Taking up space. Pull those hands to your heart center. Mountain pose. Root through the right foot. Left foot floats to majorette. Knee is just coming straight out from the hip. Shoulders over the hips, over the heel. Nice balance. Pressing down through that right leg. And then press that left heel forward. Reaching out, trying to lift that thigh straight, legs straight out from the hip. Take one more breath here. And then we'll sweep it back for airplane. Reach the arms back. Reach the head forward. If you want to take the arms all the way forward to Virabhadrasana, 3, you can do that. Belly in, fingers reaching, heel pulling back. Find some length, find your balance. Then come back to majorette. Knee comes forward. And then take your tree pose. Left foot presses into the right thigh. Hands can come to the chest or up. But make sure that the hips are pulling forward a little bit, that the spine stays nice and long, and the low spine has length. Hands come back to the heart. Lower that left foot down. Mountain pose. Notice the left side of the body. Notice the right. Inhale, take those arms up and overhead. Exhale and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands are planted, feet step back, flow through vinyasa. Taking your time, marrying movement and breath. Right leg floats to the sky. Bend the knee, tip the hip open. Feel that stretch in the quad. Hug that knee in towards the chest and hover. And then place that right foot on the ground. Rise up into your lunge. Open up to warrior 2 by spinning the back foot in line with the back of your mat. Bending through the right knee and reaching out through those fingers. Looking up over the right fingertips. And then reverse your warrior. Right palm reaches up and overhead. Stretching through the side body, reaching back. Windmill those hands down to the ground, standing split on that right leg. Drawing the body in towards the leg. Maybe you lift the right hand. Maybe you bring the left hand together in prayer. Or maybe you wrap the hands around the shin and draw the body in a little more. Maybe you fall a bunch of times. Make sure as you fall that you give yourself kindness. Play. And then let's go ahead. Let that left foot come back down slowly. Plant the left hand, reach the right arm up to the sky, taking a twist. And we're going to move into a side plank here. So I'm going to give you a more challenging way to move into it. If that feels like too much, move into it in a way that makes more sense to your body. So we're going to spin onto the outer edge of the back foot. We're going to lift the front toes up. And then we're going to just take that right leg and stack it on top of the left. If you want to do supported side plank, you can just let that top foot, right foot, come to the ground in front to support you. Bring that right hand down, lift up to a three-legged dog. Hug the belly in, hug the knee in, cross over for a fallen triangle or a wild thing. Placing the right foot to the left side of the mat, lifting the left arm up, finding your breath. And then let that left hand float down. Go ahead and pull that knee back in, reach back up, three-legged dog. Lower that right leg down to the ground and flow through a vinyasa. Find your down dog, find your breath. Notice. Left leg floated up, bend the knee, tip the hip open, pull that heel in towards your tailbone and feel the stretch in the left quad. Come to your plank, hugging the knee into the chest. Place the foot on the ground firmly and rise up. Reach to the fingers, down to the hips. Feel your energy. Warrior two. Back foot is in line with the back of the mat. Front toes are pointing forward. Reach forward and back. Flip the left palm up. Lift up to the left hand, reverse warrior. Reach to those ribs. Windmill the hands down to the ground, standing split. Hop that right leg up to the sky. Fold the body in and decide if you want to play with balance on this side. If you want to try prayer, or you want to try holding the calf, draw that body in. Discovering your balance in each moment, fully present. Hands to the floor if they've come off. Bend the left knee, step that right foot back. Plant the right hand, take your twist. Left arm reaches up. Now we're going to take our side plank. So spin that right foot so the edge of the foot is on the ground. Lift up those left toes and then see if you can just take the leg back. Stacking it on top of the right. Push down through the right hand. Lift up through the left. Find your breath. Let's lower that left hand back down to the ground. Come up to a three-legged dog. Lower that left foot down to meet the right. Lower the knees down to the ground and take a child's pose or flow through your vinyasa. Whatever you need. Here it is. Take it. You can stay in your child's pose as your inversion, or if you practice headstand regularly, I wouldn't say try it now for the first time. Let's be mindful, right? And cautious and careful in our practice. If you regularly practice headstand, you can measure off, wrapping the hands around the upper arms, interlacing the fingers, laying the top of the head to the ground, making sure those elbows don't splay out, and then curl the toes under. Begin to walk the feet in. Pull one heel in towards the tailbone and then the other. And then slowly, carefully rising up, keeping the pressure on the forearms, just a tiny bit of pressure on the top of the head. Reaching through the toes. So we're pressing down through the arms to reach up through the feet. Keeping your gaze in one point to keep you balanced. And we'll slowly begin coming out the way you came in. Taking one foot in and then the other, and then one foot down and then the other. Now let's just come up and sit on our heels for a moment. Let that blood slowly make its way back down from the heel for the sky. Beginning to straighten the right leg, stretching through the right hamstring. Interlacing the fingers behind the right thigh or the right calf. Settling into the sensations of the hamstring. And then bend the left knee, place the left foot on the floor, cross the right ankle over the left knee, flexing through the foot, figure 4. If you want to reach the hands around that left knee, you can, pressing out through the right knee. And just seeing where this shows up in your body. Allowing time to feel the pose by paying attention to your breath. And then slowly release your hands, let those feet float down to the ground, keeping the knees bent, walking the heels in towards the hips. Hands, arms on the ground by the side of the body. And we'll take a bridge pose by tipping the hips and lifting up through the chest and the heart. Pressing the back of the head down into the ground. Maybe lean to one side and kind of walk those shoulders under a little bit. And power up through the legs, lifting, finding some lightness. One more breath. Let the heels lift and then slowly roll the spine down. Draw the left knee into the chest, interlacing your fingers below the left knee, and then if you want to extend that right leg straight out, just hover it an inch or 2 off the ground. Use the strength of your hands to pull on that left knee, to draw it in close towards the chest. Energetically keep pressing out through the extended right leg's heel. Notice if the mind wanders away as you are on the ground, more stable. Good, and let's bend that right knee. Right foot's on the ground, left heel reaches for the sky, and the hands come behind the calf or the thigh. Up towards the sky and then holding gently with the hands to activate awareness in the hamstring. Now we'll release that calf, cross the left ankle over the right knee. Out through the left knee. Figure 4. You can thread the needle if you want, reaching the hands around the right knee. Giving time to see how it shows up on this side of the body. fingers, and then squeeze the elbows in. Keep the shoulders tucked down the back body. Then lift up. A repeating bridge, finding your shape that fits your body today, that meets the requests of the body. Fill up with breath. Bring your attention to the long, deep inhale. And letting go through a long, slow exhale. If you're in bridge, lift the heels, slowly roll down. If you're in wheel, begin to come out, protecting the neck. Landing back on the ground. We'll take a happy baby, opening up the feet, grabbing outer edges of the backs of the thighs or outer edges of the feet. If you like to rock and roll left and right, go ahead and honor that. And then find stillness for a few breaths. Allow your body to just receive the pose. And release the feet, let the feet just float up to the sky, taking the legs up the wall. The knees can stay bent, or you can extend the legs straighter. Let your knees drop in towards your chest. And then roll to the right side of the body, extending out through the left arm, twisting. Take a long, slow breath in through the nose and just sigh it out. And then let that left knee float to center, right knee following. Drop them over to the other side. Reaching out through the right arm. Settling into your twist. A long, slow inhale through the nose. Slide out. Right knee comes back to center, left knee follows. Hug the knees in towards the chest and roll left to right. And then let the feet float to the ground, setting up for Shavasana. Finding wherever is comfortable for you. Allowing your eyes to close. And just take one sweep from the feet, just moving through the whole body, through the ankles, the shins and calves. Feeling the sensation and awareness move up through the knees, through the quads and the thighs. Noticing the hips, the low belly and the ribs, the front and back side of the ribs. Noticing the chest, the throat, the back of the neck. Notice the fingers and the palms, the backs of the hands and the wrists. Awareness in the forearms and up through the elbows. Moving up through the upper arms and shoulders. Feel your whole face relaxing and letting go. The chin, the jaw, the cheeks, the eyes, the forehead, the top of the head, the back of the head. Take another breath in and send in peace and healing to every cell of the body. Sending a special concentration of peace and healing to anywhere in the body that was a little more noticeable in our practice tonight. And just slip into stillness. Next breath in, feel it coming from the toes, moving up through the body, filling you with energy and vitality. And as you exhale, sharing that energy and vitality with exhale out into the world. Let's bend our knees. And just drop the knees to one side, make a little pillow with the arm. Just pausing here. And press the hands into the ground, supporting you safely for the spine. Find your way to a seat. Crossing the legs, bring the hands to heart center. Close the eyes again. Just feel your own energy body, your own awakening. Such simple breath and movement, but with intention and attention, we begin to transform. We open up to our own selves, to the vibrancy of our own lives. We arrive here in our lives, fully present. Let's take a moment to honor ourselves for showing up. Gratitude to ourselves on this journey for doing this practice and for being present. And together we honor one another by saying namaste. Thank you so much for making the time, rolling out your mat and sharing this energy. Have a brilliant rest of your day. And remember our little lesson from Scout. Allow things to come to you. Stop chasing, sit, and call it in. Namaste. And if that doesn't work, bring treats. Bye everybody, have a good night or day.